I love it here. This morning, as we were in meditation, when you open yourself up to be a portal for anything, whether it's the inspiration about how to clean the garage or cook dinner or write a song or whatever, stuff comes. And so more came, and I wrote it down over here to add to my message this morning. And then when Felicia was singing, it was really just so simple. I love it here. So mindfulness matters, and you'll notice that there's a little definition in the bottom we're going to talk about from Jon Kabat-Zinn in just a few minutes. So mindfulness matters, and of course a lot of us at this point have heard a great deal about that. And there's a really good chance that many of us have endeavored to learn more about mindfulness, and maybe we have even committed to practicing it in some way. And I'm here to suggest that the rest of us have actually endeavored to do that more than we might know as well. For those of you who read the Science of Mind magazine, I know one of them's in the front row, right? Anybody else take a look at this yet?
Yes.
If it's in your house, open it. And read it from back to front or front to back. It doesn't matter. There's a beautiful wealth of information, of insight, of articles about mindfulness in this month's issue. Because every month they commit in advance to a theme. Isn't that beautiful? Committing to a vision, to an idea, to a theme is what creates magazines, and it creates communities. And we are here committed to something central that we all find some value in. And that influences our attention. It influences our presence. It influences our judgment. It influences our beingness. And so we have chosen on purpose to be here this morning. So mindfulness matters, and when we think of it in terms of this teaching, it's simply that mindfulness translates into matter. And when our attention is unconscious, as Christian Larson was quoted as having said that whether we do it consciously or not, we are constantly praying. So if mindfulness translates into matter, then we want to do it on purpose. We want to do it on purpose. So what is mindfulness? I felt like the best place to start here in the West was to quote Jon Kabat-Zinn, because he's probably the most prominent American teacher of this practice. And there are others whose readings and works we have read, such as Thich Nhat Hanh. There are so many aspects of Buddhism that have been teaching this for millennia. But here's what Jon Kabat-Zinn says. It's in the newsletter too, if you want to go grab it and put it on your refrigerator or something. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose. In the present moment and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience moment to moment. So I got 4 fingers up right now. So the first one is to pay attention on purpose. Pay attention on purpose. And the second one is to be in the present moment, to practice present moment awareness. The third one is to exercise non-judgment. And the fourth one is to do it moment to moment. Initially, we might say, well, no problem. I do that all the time. That's easy. And then we break it down a little bit and get a little more honest. Okay. Anybody else daydream? Okay. Yeah, we're coming to that, right? It's actually a choice to pay attention in the moment. It's actually a choice to pay attention. And then in the moment, moment means that whatever has happened in the past that we haven't yet resolved, we set it aside on an imaginary table or an imaginary post-it note, and we promise to return to it, to resolve it. Because if it's not resolved, then it will pull at us. And then there's that future. And the ideas that we have constantly going on about the future in our imagination that pull at us too. And so we end up, rather than being in the present moment, thinking about that thing that's not done yet, or that other thing that we're worried about. Obviously, this is so common, we all do it, right? And so actually the idea of paying attention in the present moment is another choice. It is another choice that we can make. Thirdly, we get to the juicy part, which is about the willingness to withhold judgment. The universe actually doesn't call anyone or anything good or bad or right or wrong. There's simply a perfect and right response, reaction to every thought and feeling that we put out there. We get our just desserts all the time. That's always going on. And so, isn't it interesting, however, that we, down here on the earth plane, find it necessary to put labels on people and things, and call them good and bad, and same and different, and right and wrong, and this and that, and to qualify them. And when we qualify them, we have the betters and the worsers, right? We have the rights and the wrongs and the thises and the that's. And when we do that, every single time we do that, we create separation. It's a separation that's not really there in the truth of who we are. And yet we bring it into our experience with our judgment. With our judgment. And so once again, we come to this third thing, which is to be non-judgmental. And we have an opportunity to make a choice. Maybe it's to make a new choice, or it's to make the choice to return to that idea that, yes, we've already heard about and read about and previously committed to and then forgotten about. Okay? Non-judgment. And if we were to get caught up in semantics, as we often do in the evolution of our progress in this teaching, we might say, what I'd like to put there is my willingness to be accepting of all. Accepting all. So the fourth one is to do the first three things, moment to moment, to moment, to moment, to moment. Now, how many moments are there in a day? I don't do math. I know there are many, okay? Many, many. So that also, that idea that we would do all of this in every moment is a choice. So then that simple phrase sounds like a lot. And we might say, well, where do I begin with that? There's this idea that when we are invited or encouraged to do something that feels big, we have an opportunity to do something else that will help us on our way. And this is what it is to find out what the prize is and to keep our eyes on the prize. Keep our eyes on the prize. So what might the prize be of being willing to pay attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, to the unfolding of experience moment to moment, which is this definition of mindfulness? What might the prize be for that? Well, actually, there are several. In fact, the number of prizes for this are infinite. So let's talk about what they are, because if we fill up like this imaginary treasure chest of prizes for practicing mindfulness, not just because we need rewards to do good things, but actually because we'll need encouragement on those days when we slip up or when the idea of doing this seems to be too much. We'd like to remember why we're doing it. Some of us have spoken in our conversations about business and marketing and success on this idea of coming from the why. And the thing about coming from the why is it gets us in a place where nothing else does. And it motivates us. So we want to know, what is the prize? What is the why for doing all of this? So we begin with the choice to pay attention on purpose. The choice to pay attention on purpose. Well, how many of us have smartphones? How many of us at least have texting on our phones? How many of us have phones? Right? And you didn't leave it at home. It's not attached to the wall. It's in your bag or your pocket. It's with you, right? Wow, there's a perfect example of something that entered our culture, right? It used to be that it was considered impolite to speak while another person was speaking, or to look over there, right, when another person was engaging with us. And now, if you go see families in the restaurant, they're all doing this. Or the kids have big tablets to keep them engaged. They have televisions in cars. They play movies inside automobiles. More than ever, we are encouraged to pay attention to something else. And we are told that we need to bring all of this stuff along because there isn't enough time. Line number one. And if we want to get our needs met and our stuff done, then we're going to have to multitask. I don't think there are any Buddhists that multitask, okay? And I would venture to guess that they're healthier in every way than those of us who do. There are dangers to multitasking. From a mere offense to losing your life because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, like drive the car. So, purposeful attention. Making a choice for purposeful attention avails us of what? Possibility. Okay, so secondly, we're saying that we not only want purposeful attention, but that in the present moment is the next qualifier. In the present moment. Purposeful attention in the present moment avails us of what? The possibility that's happening now. It's right here. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not this last hour, not the next hour, not in that room or that room, but in this one. In this place. We say that we have so many questions and needs and desires and things that we want to experience and we long to know better and blah, 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 blah. And then we're either in the past or in the future where we have no access to any of that. So purposeful attention in the present moment gives us the greatest possible chance of accessing and realizing what we desire. So let's add the third, the juicy, the doozy one, which is non-judgment. How do we stay open? How do we stay open? Well, this isn't it. I'm sure it's not here. This isn't it. That's not what I had in mind. He's not it. She's not it. It's back there and I missed it. Or it's up there and I'm missing it right now because I'm here. Right? Judgment. Do you know what judgment is in terms of quantum physics? It is thinking about all of that infinite wave state possibility in a particular way that collapses the wave and makes all of the other possibilities disappear. That's what judgment really is. So when we say, he's not it, she's not it, this isn't it, what are we doing? We are cutting ourselves off from the possibility in this place, in this moment, with our powerful creative attention, to have that thing that we desire. And so finally, of course, if our habit is one of doing all of that pretty often, the other stuff I mean, then that's just as much time as we will spend separated from the very thing that we desire to experience. Wouldn't it be wonderful to explain that to all of your friends and your whole family without them shooing you out of the room? You may just have to demonstrate it by your own practice, your own demonstration. And not run after them proselytizing, but rather be ready when they run after you and say, how do you do that? Amen. Because see, the ego says, I must worry about the past. I must fret and imagine about the future. I must multitask because there's not enough time and so much to do, and I want these things so badly, and I need to defend and protect, and I can barely keep my mind on right here and right now, and I must carefully judge all of my enemies and all of the opposition and all of the people and the things in the way all the time, or else. The problem is that the or else from the ego-based method of trying to get our needs met is that it just doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. So it is a spiritual paradox to the ego human personality that actually what we're supposed to do when it looks like nothing's going our way is to pay purposeful attention and to be in the present moment fully aware. And to do so regardless of what is going on, especially when it's not good. From that place of withholding judgment. You just heard me say not good too. Being willing to suspend that judgment. Because why? Because when we do that, we keep possibility open for your exit plan. Your retort, the statement that you will make, the action that you will take, the thing that you will do. I remember that there's a quote from Einstein that, and I don't know it exactly, but he suggests that if you're in some state of emergency, that you take about 90% of your time to contemplate the best course of action and 10% actually do it. And so that means that we have to keep our feet out of our mouths, our defenses down, our hearts open, our minds present, and breathe. Buddha says, now I am breathing in. And now I am breathing out. How many of you have watched things like the Karate Kid and Kung Fu? Remember watching it? My brother watched Kung Fu. When he was 16, he knew everything. Watched Kung Fu, did Tai Chi, played a bamboo flute, and a couple other things. We have the opportunity to have all of our needs met, to get the prize, the gifts of the kingdom as they are referred to in Christian tradition, to have everything that is promised that has supposedly already been given, if we are willing to cease being distracted. If we're like the baby bird who's hungry and squawking and then turns our head so that we can't see that the food is right there. There's another analogy in here by Reverend Andriette Earl. She She says that our minds are like untrained puppies, running here and there at will and definitely not responding to a command. And so while all of this may have become fashionable, the reason that it is popular is because it is a pathway back home. It is a pathway back to that idea, that identity of who we are that awaits our attention. And it's always in the present moment, that gift. And we cannot receive it when we are in judgment, believing in separation and duality, and the us's and the them's, and the hims and the hers, and the this's and the that's. In the face of anything, we must find a way to hold that non-judgment. And it doesn't mean that we won't say something. It doesn't mean that we won't do something. It doesn't mean that we accept what is happening. Yet the most powerful position for us to hold is the complete, purposeful attention, present moment awareness, and non-judgment in this moment. It is when we do this that we call upon that infinite power that guides us to know what to say and what to do. And it accomplishes far more than we could on our best day with our brains and our muscles. And that is what is desired and required of us. Because there is all of that possibility awaiting our realization, our recognition. So I invite you to reconsider this idea of present moment awareness, of purposeful attention, of non-judgment, moment to moment. And ask yourself, what am I paying attention to now? Am I even here now? Am I judging? And if you get that far and realize, whoops, that's okay. As Edwin Gaines says, you can just start again. That's all. This is practice. We are here to practice. We are here to remember. We are here to become. There is nothing late or early or wrong or missing about that. It is perfect. It's what we're here to do. Absolutely. So I invite you to consider positive, present moment awareness, purposeful attention, suspending judgment long enough for a greater idea to come forth. And develop the habit of that so that it becomes a way of life. The beauty of habit is that if you repeat it enough, it will take over and do it for you automatically, and then it will be effortless. And imagine the combination of all of that with effortlessness and infinite possibility. Whatever will you do with all of that wonderful energy that you retrieve? Think about it. Be present. Walk in